What's happening with PayPal stocks is quite interesting. We immediately switch to volatility, which can tell us a lot. Firstly, there's a significant discrepancy between the nearest and furthest strike. Volatility is at 34 for the former and around 40 for the latter. This is likely tied to the upcoming report in May, which will be crucial. Consequently, volatility increases for further strikes. We observe the volatility smile, where the nearest strikes for March and April are equally weighted for both increases and decreases. However, the further the strike, the more the volatility leans towards puts, indicating a downward direction and becomes flatter. This will be useful for developing a risk-free strategy. Yes, I've developed a risk-free strategy on PayPal where you can earn regardless of price movement. It will be based on options. We can also look at the change in volatility over time, but that's not very interesting. The most important thing is the open interest in options. We see that calls are concentrated at strikes 60, 65, 70, and 75, while puts are concentrated at strikes 60, 55, and 50. What does this tell us? That there are generally fewer puts than calls. Also, most options expire in March, particularly in the coming weeks, meaning weekly options remain popular. Additionally, if we look at the ratio of implied to historical volatility, currently implied volatility for nearer strikes is lower than for further strikes, a slight distortion. Normally, nearer strikes are more volatile than further ones, but this has flipped, which is not alarming. Let's quickly look at its earnings. Looking at the years, the fundamentals are quite good. The company is growing year on year, showing a 10% or 5% increase. Fundamentally, it looks solid. The only thing is, in 2017 and 2018, it was growing by 20% annually. Now it's 5% to 7%, but it's earning more than in 2022. Let's check the chart in 2022 and it was at $300. Fundamentally, it looks much better now, but it dropped by 82%. This is due to revenue and profit slowdown. What I want to say is, friends, fundamentals only play out in the long term. Despite what the fundamentals suggest, the sentiment and stops are happening now. PayPal is caught in a mix of pessimism. Banks and investment firms keep lowering PayPal's price despite its high fundamentals. The company is back to its 2017 level, although fundamentally, it's still very strong. As for the price, my forecasts. I don't have a clue where things are heading. I simply don't know, and I believe that knowing it is impossible. The question is, how do you make money from this? The answer will come shortly, where I'll show you a real strategy. The answer is that the most important thing is skillful position management, and that's it. That's how you should earn. They predict price movements, which are a mystery to everyone. But what I can say is that the company is in such consolidation. When it will break out is hard for me to say, but obviously nobody will argue that it has a very, very high potential for movement. And when that happens is unclear, but once large funds and investors realize they need to buy, it will skyrocket just like it did in 2020. But before that rise, of course, it may consolidate further and even drop more. I also created a poll in my channel to ask where PayPal will go next month. It will be interesting to see. Let's continue. Now I'll be creating a strategy for earning on PayPal. Today we have a holiday prices may not be very adequate, but let's see what can be done. I've sped up the video to make it more pleasant to watch. What PayPal will do in the near future, whether it will go up or down, we can build a strategy like this. But again, never follow me. I'm not opening this position for real. It's just for demonstration purposes to show what can be done and what not. As we can see, we have a drawdown if PayPal drops, but if it goes higher or lower, we'll make good money. But again, we need to manage the position and adjust. I would also work with closer options, selling those options to avoid this drawdown level at 60. This applies to strategy. I also want to say that our market is driven by non-fundamental or technical analysis and more by sentiment. Do you understand what I'm talking about? You've probably seen and know this chart where there's a relentless rise, then a fall, then consolidation, and then a very strong downturn. Look at what happened to PayPal. An absolutely identical chart, a very rapid rise, then a fall, then a bounce, and a dive down with periodic bounces. As we can see, it's also identical, ruling out chance. At some point, we reach the lowest point, the point of fear, and for PayPal, I fully admit that this point was either here in October or we're about to reach it soon. I'm saying that PayPal holders won't have to wait long for another rise, but again, it will be extremely rapid, just as we see in this chart, probably something like this, and then again, acceleration and a strong rise upwards. But again, regarding PayPal, I'm very optimistic about the future. I'm talking about the nearest years, I'm not talking about the next few months. It's absolutely impossible to predict the price. I'm talking about the nearest years, possibly even decade. That's my position on PayPal. I also advise you to watch this video about the stock. Write comments, everyone. Bye for now.